So, what is the importance of asking questions? Why is it so crucial that our whole life we should be asking questions every second? We should be looking as if we're asking a question. That peering into something is asking a question. You know, when you're really trying to, how do you say, and there's no trying obviously, but when you're really aware of something, you're asking a question, right? Not that you're trying to reveal something from looking, but the very looking has to reveal something. So in this sense, again, what is implied in a man who does not ask questions? Does that not imply a man who is not looking? Or who is not, how do you say it? Who does not care enough to inquire into the nature of what he is looking at? So again, in this sense, the freedom to question all of the judgments going on in my mind, all of the tendencies, the thoughts, the fears, the sufferings, the memories, the experience, the knowledge. You know, a lot of times when we are living lives completely unaware, you know, very mechanical lives, robotic lives, there is no place for questioning. And to an extent, there's a time where you don't question, meaning after you've questioned something and something is apparent, no further questions are necessary. So I think there is a time where there's unnecessary questions. But in the fact that in the fact that not everything can be known, there's also an aspect to the fact that there is never enough questions. Meaning, there's probably always a better way of doing things. But I want to take this one step further and say we have to question our ideas of better and worse, good and bad. You know, all of these attributes and characteristics and aspects and facets we've attributed to so many things that go on in our life. We never just cease attributing and just questioning. And so this is another very important thing we need to go into, is that when we're questioning, we can't be on any side. That the question is impartial. The statement is not always impartial, but the question, usually, the majority of the time, is without opinions. Because what a question allows you to do is come to your own conclusion or opinion. Not that you should be making conclusions or opinions. But that's the care, the compassion, the generosity of a question. So why is it that we're no longer asking questions? Are we comfortable with our complacency? Are we comfortable with our apathy? Are we so disconnected from our lives, from what we feel deep down, that we no longer question and we just take other people's words, the general spiritual opinion, right? The general informed, right? So-called knowledge. And we're fine with that. We stop there, we end there. And so, we're all in these concepts of Kundalini, Brahmic consciousness, non-duality, all of these, fantastic creations of the mind. And so I think what the question allows one to do is shatter the illusions created by the mind. Or at least give a chance to address them. Because the mind is swimming in its own illusions. You know what I mean? Like the mind is just the center of disease control. But yeah, the mind is like the CDC. Always giving these recommendations, these requirements. And really, it would love to be a tyrant, right? And it would love to wipe out the common sense of man, right? Because if man don't have common sense, he don't ask a question. So yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I think that's a very important question. Why don't we question? Who does it benefit not to question? Really, it's authority. Authority does not benefit from questions. Unless it's authentic, organic authority, because then please question, please come, and tear down my rule, because it's not about my rule, right? But false authority cannot withstand question. Tyranny, authoritarianism, they can't afford questions because they don't have any answers. They pretend like they have all the answers because they don't ask any questions, or because they can't be asked any questions. So one more time, who does it serve not to ask questions? Really, it serves me. It serves the self. Because as long as the self doesn't question itself, which means the self doesn't look at itself, it's over. It's a downward spiral. It's a self-ward, selfish, spiritual, egotistical development, right? Spiritual ego development. The self uses all these terms, all these methods, all these different devious, tactics to beat around the bush and circumnavigate itself. But it never just asks the question to itself. That's the thing. Because again, questions don't allow for circular arguments. And the identity of the me, the identity of the self, the accumulation of knowledge, of experience, of neurotic activity, and that center in which that wants to prolong itself, why would it want any question? It just wants to repeat itself. And in repeating itself, immortalize itself. So this question of mortality, right? The questioning of the mortal identity. It's the most important question. Questions like, who is this person that's trying to become enlightened? Who is this separate individual separate from the world that wants to seek this universal mind, enlightenment, Brahmic, Christ, Krishna consciousness? Who is this individual? Who is this exaggerated center? Who is this exaggerated thought that's trying to claim godship? Who is it? when you really question and examine yourself without image, is there anyone at all? Because I think it should be clear by now to everyone that I am the image. I is the imaginings. So no matter how clever the I imagines and tries to escape, right, its own suffering and its own conduct, impossible. So we never question the I, because the I, like a good authoritarian tyrant, likes to continue its rule of the old, the good days, And then the idea of this good days, the good old times, carries on into the now. So of course the now ain't gonna be good compared to the good old days, right? Until we can drop or we can question the I and its memories, what it attributes the good old days to the good old days, right? So let's question the good old days, because the only place we can question is now. And this is the other thing is, I wonder if many people are able to ask questions, are able to be present right now. Because again, the question is a gift. And without someone who's really present, who can really see you for who you are, not all the condemnation and all the support and adoration people give you, but really see you, that person will be able to ask a question, because he's not preoccupied with idolizing or demonizing you. And this is the essence of the question, is to get away from idolization, which is the demonization. They're the same thing, just two sides of the same coin. So the ability to question what I worship, whether it's me, whether it's my ideas of God, whether it's some words coming off of some scripture, all images. And as long as we don't ask questions, are we free from our own images, from our own incantations, our assertions, our positive manifestations, our blindness, really? So the question, would you not say, is the cure to blindness? Even if you're physically blind, you have to ask the question, what in my organism, where is the mucus that is obstructing my optic nerves? Or perhaps the gut-brain relationship, that something is wrong with my intestines, so I can't see. Something's wrong with my gut. So really, would you not say that in the question lies freedom? That the question is sovereignty? Because you would never be able to question authority if you weren't sovereign. Who is this authority? Where do you derive this authority? Show me this knowledge. What is the justification of your experience? What are your results? And then carry on from there. And the other thing with the question is, no one can question for you. That life is a self-questioning. Without self-questioning, there is no life. So I think I'll wrap it up with that no one can ask your question. It is your responsibility, and it is your right to question. And it doesn't matter if other people don't like your questions. That's beside the point. Because if you don't question, the liability is on you. If you just conform, if you just mask yourself, if you just, adopt someone else's ideology, there is no question in that. The very questioning is what obliterates ideology. Because there would be no need for ideology. There would be no need for theories. There would be no need for accepted, conformist, acquiescing, dissenting ideas of slow subjugation. If we just question for ourselves. We question ourselves and we question for ourselves. Because there is no true authority where there is no honest, unbiased, untampered with, uncompromised question. So ask yourself, what is the art of questioning?